Hello, algoriters. Hello, algoriters. Court is back in session. I'm Al Reynolds. And guess what? This is the court of public opinion. I'll be serving as your judge, and you, the viewers, will be the jury. The court of public opinion, as you know, is where you, the people's voice, can and will be heard. So be sure to drop down in those comments. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications because we got some good stuff coming up real soon. And lastly, don't forget to leave us your comments because we love the engagement. Tonight, we got 3 legal beagles on the case today in the court of public opinion, and they are ready to get it started. First up, we have the fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome back to the court of public opinion.
Hi, Your Honor. Hi, algoriters. I'm ready.
All right, we're ready. All right, next up, fresh off a cruise. She was, some sea, she was in the Caribbean Sea, I believe. Let's welcome back that red wine emoji attorney, Simone Redwine. Simone, welcome back. Oh, you got lost at sea.
Baby, it was something going on out there. It was a lot, baby. I'm not a virgin anymore after that cruise.
Well, we're going to. You mean you're not a virgin anymore? Oh, virgin.
It was a virgin cruise. It was a
virgin cruise.
Not literal.
All right, and last up we have the criminal defense attorney, Brian Ross. Brian Ross, welcome back to the court of public opinion.
I'm still chuckling over Simone's comment. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Hope you had a good time on your trip.
For those who don't know, we were in our chambers yesterday, and Simone texted us that she was in the jacuzzi with little Boosie.
With a man.
Man.
Costume jury.
He does resemble a rapper.
Hey.
Hey.
All right, everybody. Court is now in session. All right, let me look at my caseload tonight. All right, first up, something that's got TikTok all in an uproar and now has infiltrated Instagram. It goes with that saying, if it seems too good to be true, everybody, it simply is not. Chase Bank scam. You know, Chase Bank is the largest bank in the United States of America. And for some reason, there was a campaign going on TikTok that they were giving away unlimited money for free. Chase customers Chase customers did not get free money. They actually wrote bad checks to themselves for obscene amounts of money, deposited, and then quickly withdrew it. Attorney Shatan Turner, talk to us about this. What were they calling it? They were calling it forgot what they were calling it. A glitch. They were saying it was a glitch, but in fact, it was not. Shatan Turner, please share with us how legally you could get into a lot of trouble if you participated in this particular scam.
A glitch by any other name is just stealing. And so, so some people just started doing some stuff and they went on TikTok and told other people about it like it was legal and it was just a mistake. So one of the morals is don't do everything that everybody else is doing because you might go to jail. Hopefully your grandmother told you that at some point. So there is a way through the ATM system that you make a deposit and the bank will credit you the amount of that deposit if you immediately take it out because it's too soon for it to be reconciled. And somehow some Gen Zers, right, who were born 2 minutes ago, thought that they had discovered water, right? And so they started telling everybody that they had done it. And it's really only worthwhile, I suppose, like as an officer of the court, I don't encourage people to steal. But if, for example, you were in Miami and you wanted to ball out of control and you went to the ATM at 11:30 on Saturday night and took out an obscene amount of money that you didn't have, and then you just made it rain all over Ocean Drive. Like it could be a lot of fun, but eventually come Monday when they reconcile everything, you are going to have to pay it back because the banks, your relationship with the bank is contingent upon 2 things. One is you give them money, and the second one is you abide by their rules. And their rules in the contract that you signed to open the account say that if there's a mistake, then you have to pay it back. So all these people who thought they got over and they just hit the lottery, it's just a matter of time before they personally are going to have to give that money back. So, like I said, it's only a party. What's that saying? It's no fun if the homies can't have none. It's only a party, right? If you have the money to pay it back, because if you don't, then you're just going to be up the creek without a paddle.
Okay, Simone, let's go to you real quick, because I think we talked about this one time before in the court of public opinion. I want to get your opinion on this, because I can say, listen, 20 years ago, I did something very similar. Yep, I sure did. What I did was I had a couple of checks that I deposited into the bank. In one check, I deposited from my own account, and I said I wanted to deposit $2,000 more than I knew that I had. However, when I deposited into bank at that time, the bank gave me credit for 80% of all the checks that I had deposited, and then I withdrew accordingly. Now, this is the deal. In my case, when it did reconcile, it just threw my account into a negative, right? As long as I covered that negative, wouldn't that be legal? Or is what I did still considered fraud and possibly money laundering? You're on mute, beautiful. You're on mute.
There you go. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the law generally sees those things that you described. It's generally seen as a mistake, an honest mistake, right? People overdraft their bank accounts all the time. And the law in America is that we're not a debtor's prison. In other words, you're not supposed to be arrested for simply being poor, for not having enough money. But here, the problem now is that this glitch, these actions are now intentional. In other words, this is intentional theft. So what you're talking about, the most you would get was like a bounce check charge, right? A bounce check fee. And then you'd be overdrafted. You couldn't get another bank account with anyone else until you made right on it. But you wouldn't go to jail for that. But because this glitch is as popular as it is, and now they could be able to prove, as in the criminal courts could be able to prove intent. In those instances, especially, for example, people who then go to social media and flex like, hey, it worked. I did it. It worked. Oh, y'all going to jail. You're going to jail today because you going to jail, one, because you're stupid, and two, because you're a thief.
Attorney Ross, what you got to add to this? You're
and for those of you who have out there committing this fraud, I want to leave this with you. If you want to get off, call Brian Ross, because you're going to get arrested. Okay? It's going to happen.
Wait a minute. If you want to get off, what?
You want to get off? Call Brian Ross. Okay?
I love it. Excellent.
I was at Clark, Atlanta, and I wrote a check one time.
Pondra, but you might want to be mindful of that, or your wife should, if you start telling that to everybody.
It's out there. It's marketed. I'm charging 2 cents every time somebody say it. Okay, it's out there, but you can't do it. There's no free money, people. Take it from me. Especially Chase Bank. They're going to find you. And what blows your mind is you don't even go to an ATM where no one is at. You go to the one where they waiting in line. Okay. And then you're on TikTok like, I made it rain. Look at me. Yeah, look at you. So
which is basically evidence that you committed fraud.
Right.
Exhibit A.
All right, everybody. Don't forget, throw those wine emojis in the chat for Simone Redwine. Don't forget those fire emojis for the fiery civil attorney Shatan Turner, and those briefcase emojis for Brian, the criminal defense attorney Brian Ross. And don't forget me, throw in those fax machines for the fax guy who's bringing you all the facts. Next up, Donald Trump. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. And in this particular case, you better hold on, because the courts are coming for you. All right, let's take a listen to the song that got him into the Court of Public Opinion for using it against the estate's permission, Isaac Hayes' estate's permission to use the song at his rallies. Bailiff? Okay.
Don't play too much of it.
Ross.
We're gonna get unmonetized.
Attorney Ross, tell me, what's the difference? Like, so there's a law here saying that I can't use Isaac Hayes music, or I can't use artist music without their permission. How does this work? And what exactly does it mean? Does that mean the spoken word, the sung word, or is it the melody too? What's the difference?
Okay. Isaac Hayes, a famous, probably what era? Now I'm 47 now, so I'm gonna ask the people who might be older than me. I'm assuming he's a 70s, 80s star, right? He made this song, and Trump plays it at the end or beginning of his stage show and bops his hand to it. Problem is, if you are going to take another person's artistic creation, you must get permission from them and all the entities that control it. Isaac Hayes is no longer with us, so his son, Isaac Hayes III, controls his estate. He could say yes or no to whoever he wants to use his music. So they are hearing that Trump is doing this. He uses their music, plays it, and they send him a cease and desist letter, which presumably he ignored, because then they filed what's called an emergency injunction. Your legal word of the day is injunction, which means stop. Okay. And he didn't stop. So they went to court, filed the injunction. The judge listened to the music, watched Donald Trump's videos, looked for permission, and found he didn't have any and told him he had to quit. So he had to stop using his music immediately. But that's a small win. Now they go back and Donald Trump's allowed to say, well, I can use it in this instance. There are some small exceptions. So they have to have a full-blown trial over this. So he can't use someone's music. You can't use their artwork. You can't use their cartoons. You can't use their animation. You can't use it. Now, there's a theory that you cannot copyright a melody, right? But in this instance, Trump would lose on that argument because the melody was transformed into a song and recorded. So as long as it's recorded and he created it, he still can't use it. But there are some things that are melodies that you can use, and they're not copyright infringement.
Okay, Attorney Simone Redwine, I need your help on this because I'm confused as hell now. Okay, because the judge gave him an emergency injunction to stop using it, so it was pulled. However, the judge did rule that Trump did not have to remove any published material that had already been featured. So how is it that he's able to abuse it, be stripped of his ability to use it? However, because he did it before, he's allowed to keep it.
What that means is he's going to have to pay for it. See, judge didn't say he gets to do that for free. The judge says he doesn't have to take it down. So then a component of the full-blown trial is going to be, what does Trump owe for using this music? So I believe that's why the judge didn't make him remove it. And in fact, in many instances, if I were representing the plaintiffs, I would say, no, let him keep him up there. He's just going to have to pay for it. And then for every day that thing stays up, that video stays up, that's more money you got to run my client.
So basically, if I'm hearing you correctly, the family jumped the gun a little bit. They should have just let him use it all through the campaign and then came back and said, guess what? You owe us some.
No, I think they did good here by making the stance now, because he's using music like this and it makes it seems as though he's getting the consent of this Black musician and his family to use this. So this is their way of saying,
we're not
supporting and his legacy does not stand.
Support you. Oh, okay, I got you. See, I'm always worried about the check. So I would have let him play all he want. And then when he lost, after he lost to Kamala, I would have then put in my $500,000 invoice for abuse of my copyright.
Well, Robin. Now, remember we learned this concept, I think it was last week, maybe, the concept of latches. And we were talking about how the court disfavors those who sleep on their rights. Because Trump has been using this song flagrantly and openly, it's incumbent upon the Hayes family or the estate to monitor misuse of the song and then go after it as soon as possible so no one can.
Order in the court. You're too smart for my court. Order in the court, Miss Turner. Forget you. I wanted my $500,000. That makes perfect sense, Shatan. Oh my God, what a way to tie it back in. You're right. So had I just ignored it, right? Had I ignored it, which you can't ignore it because it's everywhere, then it shows my lack of responsibility of wanting to get my claim. Makes perfect sense. Okay, so lawyers, let me ask this last question because this is what I want to know. When I'm posting a story and I want to add music to it, Instagram lets me choose my favorite song and add it to my reel. What does that mean?
Does. I don't even know how they do that because I've gotten dinged from Instagram music that I've picked. So last Halloween, I used Thriller as the backdrop for my Halloween reel, and I got all of these messages saying it had been taken down in a variety of countries because I violated the law. So I'm not sure what the vetting process is for Instagram to allow for that, but it must not be thorough because I've gotten dinged myself.
I can elaborate. So what
Okay.
it is Instagram pays money to certain artists and musicians for the right to use their music. They pay the entire record label. So you may remember that TikTok, and I believe it was UMG, the record label, UMG said they're going to pull all their artists' music from TikTok, and that was a big thing. That was because they did not like the rate that TikTok had negotiated with UMG. So that's what it is. As long as whoever owns those rights has negotiated a rate with Instagram proper, they get paid every time you put that music behind your stuff. And that's why they're okay with it.
Wow.
Take it back to Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke and Pharrell. And that song was a hit in 2013. But Marvin Gaye's estate alleged they took the beat in the music from them. They sued it. I think they got like $6 million or something like that for that lawsuit. The same principle.
Was hot. It was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
Everything. I would think that if I was Instagram and TikTok, I definitely would be in conversation with the Jackson family. Like those songs are classic. Like, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? No?
I mean, if you can get them to do it, you know, but you're talking about the Jackson family, those songs aren't cheap, you know. Right. So what really happens though, Judge, is most times you hear your song in something small. Like Donald Trump's estate has, you know, looked it up. They did it for REM, Guns N' Roses, who flipped it, Neil Young, Beyonce sent them a cease and desist.
Right.
But Isaac Hayes is the only person who sued them because one, there's a party that doesn't want to sue Trump. He was incredibly popular. Two, the lawyers aren't free. So you got to pay a person to do this, and it's cost prohibitive to do it. So because he gets by.
Yeah, it sounds to me though like if for Shaitan it was a matter of I don't want to be associated with Trump. I don't want my dad's estate to be associated with Trump. So I want this to stop. So which I do understand. All right, algoritmers and everybody else that's watching, have you ever had one of your videos on Instagram or TikTok taken down because of music? If so, drop down in the chat and let us know what happened to you. We'll call on you later tonight to give us some insight. All right, everybody. Next up, Will Smith. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. Wow, this case is really interesting because Kissinger, Sabanda, what's that his name? Sabanda is suing Will Smith for infringement. He's basically saying that Will Smith owes him $1 million for using his story that he wrote back in 2011 as the backdrop for his movie Gemini Man. All right, Attorney Brian Ross, you're the criminal attorney here. What exactly is infringement? How do you prove infringement? And is Will Smith really a victim of this? Because I would think Will Smith was simply an actor, as well as because of the level of his celebrity was EP on it as top bill. So he didn't really write the movie. So why is he being held in contempt for infringement?
Well, wasn't he the executive producer of the movie? So I think that because he was tied. Most A-listers, in order to get them to be a part of the movie, will make them executive producers so that they'll get paid in multiple forms. They get a talent fee and then they get a producer credit. So because he produced it, doesn't necessarily, because he's an EP in this particular fashion, does not mean that he had anything to do with the development of the movie. Well, it's always, these stories always blow my mind because what blows my mind is how things come together, right? So Kissinger writes this book, right? Simultaneously, unbeknownst to him, there's a Hollywood development of this story, but the Hollywood development was languishing. It was kind of struggling with parts of it. He met Will Smith's stunt double in South Africa randomly. Like, how does that even happen, right? And he gives him a copy of the book, and the stunt double likes it and says, "Yeah, send it to the talent agency. The agency is called William Morris Endeavor, which apparently is a pretty big talent agency." He mails it. I don't know why he mailed it. Just mailed it. But he mailed it. And next thing you know, it's turned into a movie. So he's like, "That's my movie. That you took my idea and turned it into a movie. You infringed upon my idea and didn't pay me any money for it." The movie grossed $170 million. So he's asking for $1.7 million in damages because of that.
Now, this is the interesting part. He sent it, but he didn't protect his rights when he sent it.
Blows your mind. Blows your mind. I don't know why you would do that.
Well, that his copyrights existed though. Like he should have sent some sort of agreement with the agency to indicate his expectation. But in some respects, Brian Ross, like I don't know if you know some shady people, but I know some shady people.
I know one or two.
He pulled the ultimate like hustler move, right? Because he meets this person who's in, I don't know who the stunt double is, and apparently he doesn't remember the person's name. I had this whole vision, like they were on safari or they were in hot springs or something. Conversation, and this person says, "This is how you get down in the industry. Send your book to a movie production company, right? At some point, they will make a movie that sounds like your book. You have a record that you sent that there. You don't know if anybody ever read it, but that gives you standing in order to say that you would like to get a cut, and you might be able to leverage it." That's actually what I thought. You know, if you, not that the algoritmos would do this, right? But if you have some original manuscript, like a love story or whatever, because this isn't the first time this has happened in Hollywood, that someone wrote a book and they have sued saying that their rights were infringed upon. He has said a story. He's got 1 degree of separation from Will Smith, right? With this random stunt double who remains unnamed. He told him the story, right? So the thing is maybe the stunt double had not pillow talk, but talked to Will Smith at some point and about it, right? And then the other thing is the production company also had it, and so now he's got proof that it made it to Hollywood.
I'm with Nola Girl in your comments. Let me start mailing some manuscripts. I'm gonna start mailing some manuscripts randomly. I'm gonna hire Simone Redwine as my lawyer. I'm gonna have a draft of loose release.
I know that's right.
Mail it off, and I'm gonna hope that someone turn. And the story's gonna be really good. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm gonna get paid because, like Shaitan, that is a brilliant angle. I did not see where you were going with that. Wow, dude. I'm like, who does that? That's brilliant.
That's a back door, right?
Back door, man. Back door, man.
All right. I want to give Eve to Eve. Eve to Eve. Thank you for becoming a new member tonight. All right. Now, this is what I was thinking when I read this. I felt like that this is a money grab from this particular writer, this particular author, because he named Will Smith. Will Smith doesn't have anything to do with this. And also, it was such a low dollar amount. If you stole my story, and that story, somebody needs to mute themselves. And that, Simone, please mute yourself. And that story grossed $173 million in the box office. Why, if you are saying what you're saying is true, if what you are asserting is true, was that they stole your story, they made $173 million with it. Why are you only suing for $1 million?
He lying.
It's not adding up, right? And the other part of that is that it's not adding up is I remember what I did once, because you guys know I know the legal system a little bit. There was a company that I was working with that hired me to help them with work. I helped them secure an $80 million contract. When I helped them secure that contract, they didn't want to give me my finder's fee, which was 10% of the money that was awarded, right? All right. So because they wouldn't give it to me and they were trying to tie me up in court, because I found out that Magic Johnson owned 30% of the company, I took it to the media and said, yo, Al Reynolds is suing Magic Johnson. You can Google it right now. I think it was for $5 million. Magic Johnson was like, wait, how did I catch this stray? Picked up the phone, called the owner of the company and said, I don't do business like this. Get my name out of this. Get Al on the phone and settle with him. And guess what? I got settled. I got paid. So this is what this is giving me. Will Smith caught a stray because no one's going to sue him for $1 million if they made $183 million off their concept. It just wouldn't happen, right? So this to me is very suspect, and I don't know that I believe it. What say you, Simone?
I agree. I don't believe it either. It doesn't sound right. And more than that, in those contexts and in those circles, it sounds like this is, first of all, it sounds like this is a writer who's probably been out of work for quite a while.
Right.
He may have been blackballed or blacklisted for other things, and he's grasping at straws, trying to get paid somewhere because it's hard out there for a player in Hollywood. That's what it sounds like to me.
Especially if you're trying to get a story.
I'm going to be the contrarian here. I'm going to be the contrarian here. Simone and Shaitan want to attack this brother. He wrote the story. He mailed it off. Their lawyers have a duty to send this back to him and say, sir, we received this mailing. Please sign this disclosure and we'll review your product. It's not what they did. They kept his book and turned it into a bad movie, but that's what they did. Okay. They have a duty to understand that stuff.
I don't know. I think if he mailed it, he probably mailed it, but he probably mailed it after the fact. I think this all smells of like, oh, let me fish for some money. I know I can get at least a good $500,000 or a quarter of a million out of just them wanting to make me go away. All right, next up, everybody, this is right up Simone's alley. Love and Huntsville star found guilty. Destiny Peyton, welcome to the court of public opinion. You are found guilty for 9 separate acts of contempt and violation of your divorce settlement from your ex-husband. Now, Destiny, I thought that he was the scammer, not you. And she owes $18,000 that has to be paid in the next 30 days, or she's going straight to what? Jail. Attorney Simone Redwine, give us the insight on this story, please.
Ooh, poor Destiny. Destiny, you might want to pop something for a goon. Just get paid real quick. Just neither here nor there. Might be idea. Seekingarrangements.com. I don't know. Think about it. See, listen, I'm not above it or below it. Basically, the gist of what happened is Destiny kept failing to comply with various different orders within the court. There were discovery orders where she was supposed to provide certain documents. There were orders where she was supposed to provide her child and things like that. And basically, her husband had to continue filing different motions to get Destiny to comply with what she was supposed to do because the judge in total 11 times prior. So what this was a motion where the judge says, girl, we sick of you. We sick of playing with you. And you have run these costs up so high that because you don't want to listen, I'm going to get the switch. So the judge got the switch effectively. And what has to happen now is rather than going to jail, because this is a divorce related hearing, you can't go to jail related to a divorce usually unless there's contempt. So here, you're right, Judge Al, if she doesn't come up with this $18,000, so she might need to get a payday loan or something like that, then she will go to jail. But it is all a result. Specifically, it says she received a suspended sentence in her divorce case against LeBarick Williams. The judge held Destiny broke multiple terms of the divorce decree. This includes conducting interviews in which she spoke out about the marriage, despite agreeing not to do this in the divorce. And the judge held Destiny in contempt on 9 separate counts. They issued a 45-day suspended jail sentence. And so the judge also issued 9 5-day sentences for each of the charges. So if she pays the money, she'll be fine.
This just seems very weird because wasn't he the one that was deemed the more fraudulent one than her?
Not according to the courts. No, I think it may be in the court of public opinion, but according to the court of law, no.
She's the one that's not following the law.
Correct.
All right, Destiny, get it together. I don't want to see you back in his court of public opinion. All right, last up.
Real quick though, the lesson for the algoriters though is to remember that the orders issued from the court means you have to do it. People around here arrogant, thinking they have options, right? If it's been an order issued by the court, you better do it, or you're gonna find yourself just like Destiny.
If you want to get off, call Brian Ross.
Well, if you want to get all Brian Ross, let me ask you this though. How do they send you the orders of the court? Do they email you? Do they contact your attorney? Do they mail you a letter? Like, how do they issue these summons or whatever?
they serve you, right? So you've already filed pleadings with the court, right? You were either the petitioner or you were the defendant, plaintiff or the defendant. And so the court has the contact information you provided to them. And so they serve you at that location.
Yeah.
Often now it is via email because you file them via email with the court.
Also, what were you saying, Simone?
Yeah, I was also going to add. So this was a show cause order, like a contempt order where she could be jailed. So that's an order where you have to personally be served. But generally, you get what's called e-service, which means something goes to your email address from the court where you're told what the rules are. And if you have an attorney, it's going to specifically go to your attorney, and your attorney is responsible for notifying you.
Gotcha. All right. And so what if you're my attorney, you told me and say, hey, I need this particular document, and say I don't get it back to my attorney. Can the attorney do anything about that? Can the attorney represent me in court and say, oh, my client needs more time? Like, why is she being held? Why is she being held in contempt so many times? It's almost like a dozen.
Because she failed to follow the rules. See, you have to, if you need more time, you got to ask for that in advance. You can't do that after the fact. You do it after the fact, this is what happens. Got it.
Okay. Last up, which is what I found the most interesting. Well, before we get to the last up, don't forget my likes aren't liking. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you are subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications and drop down in these comments. We're going to get to you shortly. Last up, Wack 100. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion again. Wack 100 is being sued for telling Irv Gotti's medical business. Now, this is very interesting to me because I don't see how this is possible. Attorney Shatan Turner, you are a big-time attorney for a big-time hospital. Talk to us about how is it possible that because Wack 100 shared that Irv Gotti had a stroke, that this is against the law?
First of all, I love that picture, right? Keep it 100. But here's one of the misconceptions a lot of people have. People throw around all the time that HIPAA protects them and things are subject to HIPAA. And HIPAA is the 1996 law that covers in pertinent part like privacy, security for healthcare information. The protected health information has to be protected by what's deemed to be covered entities, right? Covered entities have a lot of definitions, but for the purpose of this conversation, we'll just call them like healthcare providers and institutions, right? It doesn't apply to lay people. It does not apply to your friends, right? And so people think that if they tell their friend like, oh, girl, I had fun in Vegas and I got something and needed some antibiotics, right? If you tell your girl that, right, then, and your girl tells people, and she goes on Facebook because she's really not your girl. She was a friend of me and she was just looking for this tea and wanted to tell everybody that you're dirty, right? If she goes on Facebook and tells it, the question becomes is, did you have legitimate expectation of privacy that this person who was not a covered entity was going to maintain the privacy of your information? But you can't assert HIPAA or things that people always throw around saying, you can't do that, you can't do that. HIPAA does not apply to your friends, right? So the question's going to be like, how did Wack get the information? Who told him? What was the expectation of privacy? And it sounds like he was just trying to get people to say prayers, right? And he's going to defend and say, you know what, my bad. Didn't know y'all wanted to be quiet, but now you have more people going to Jesus and the altar on his behalf.
Yeah, I was going to say the first thing that I would do is I would argue, hey, I wanted to get the information out because I wanted people to wish him well, a speedy recovery. What say you, Simone?
I think the problem is nobody likes Wack 100 and nobody likes Irv Gotti. So pretty much nobody cares either way. But it really sounds like it's two big egos that are just going toe to toe. So in that instance, it's an invasion of privacy. But the question becomes, what are your damages? Show us how you've been damaged. Because Irv, nobody was really caring about you at all. If anything, this gets your name trending.
Yeah, that's true. And Wack 100 once again back in the conversations, right? So hey, I'm glad to know though that no one can be held responsible for such a leak because Wack 100 is a big personality with a lot of followers, right? So the question becomes, how was Irv Gotti hurt by him sharing his concerns?
Right.
I don't see any.
Irv Gotti also talked openly about how he has diabetes, and he's talking about how lifestyle changes have led to him losing weight and trying to get over it. So he's kind of put his health out there in some ways, anyways.
That's true. Okay. All right, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for certain types of information we've talked about on here, like this isn't that. This is, just regular health information. But remember when we were talking about like those sexting cases and things like that, other types of laws that cover other invasions of privacy. So the message from this conversation is not for people to say, oh, I can just tell everybody's business wherever I want and they can't sue me. Like, you should play by street rules and keep your mouth shut, but you should also know about the particular type of information that you'll be sharing to see whether or not you might find yourself some trouble.
Because didn't that find Tasha K in a lot of trouble because she said that Cardi B had herpes or was given herpes or something to that effect, Simone?
Correct. Yeah, and it wasn't true. If it was true, honestly, it wouldn't be defamation and she wouldn't have been able to sue in that capacity, perhaps for the invasion of privacy, but for defamation, that would not have been in. But it was because of the fact that was so obviously and proven to be incorrect that she was not only able to win for defamation, but also to get the punitive damages, which is what prevented Tasha K from being able to get it dismissed in bankruptcy.
Wow. Yeah. All right. So either like Attorney Turner said, just keep your mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut.
This is the part of the show that where we go to you, the jury, the viewers, and answer any of your questions. First up, Abby NYC, the MM family says, does that follow on your credit report when you take money out falsely and do not return it? Yes, it does. Anybody want to talk about that, Attorney Ross?
Yeah, it's gonna listen. When I graduated from college, I had bad credit and bad driver's license, and so it absolutely is gonna follow you for 7 years. There used to be a thing called check systems. So you take this out, not only are you gonna have to pay it back, they're gonna come after you in court. You're not gonna get away with it. You're gonna get a judgment against you. On top of that, it's gonna ruin your credit. Your credit score is gonna go to 300. And beyond that, when you try to get your car, it's going to affect you. It's a bad decision all the way around. Don't even stay.
So if you get a judgment against you, and you pay it off, is it still on your credit report?
The judgment?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll file what's called a satisfaction, but it's still there. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll still be there. All right, got it. All right, next question. Let's see. We didn't have a lot of questions tonight. Next question is we got a new member. 5. Let's see. Any more questions? I thought I saw another question here. Let me look. No questions?
There's a lot of love, though.
I know. I see. Everyone, thank you for the love. All right, here we go. Cash 901 Cash G says, does Leberick continue to punish Destiny? There was a time when they were in love and married. I don't like it when people try to hurt their ex verbally. Is that now, Simone, you follow this show, right? Does Leberick continue to punish Destiny?
You know what? I haven't watched in like 2 or 3 seasons and she's kind of like fallen off. But one thing I will say, there was a prior issue that came about, which the gist of it was she had taken out a electricity bill, a utility bill in his name and then didn't pay the bill. And that actually was one of the charges that led to criminal charges for her. And so some people thought, hey, that's kind of petty of you to do for your child's mom, because the real question becomes, what do y'all have going on where she has difficulty getting utilities? And then even if she did get them in your name, how expensive was this bill where you think criminal charges are necessary? So I just say that to say there's something really strange going on between the dynamic of these two co-parents.
Well, especially considering that she has the kids and they need heat, they need electricity, right?
Right.
All right,
it's not optional.
I know, right? It's not optional. All right. Mixed Feelings says, will J-Lo make money in this divorce? Simone.
Probably not. I don't expect for her to be asking for too much in this divorce. Instead, it's more so, it seems like she wants to be able to walk away with certain assets. So by making money, if what we're talking about is growth or appreciation of the assets, for example, the house that has appreciated, she's going to be able to get that. Yes.
All right. And why would she be able to get that? Because, I mean, he paid for the house and they don't have any kids together.
Doesn't matter. Joint property. So it is a joint asset. If it's an asset that you obtained during the marriage, any appreciation you both own, so you're both entitled to it.
So he can buy her out, though, right? He can buy out her interest.
He certainly can't. Wait. Oh, you disagree, Brian? Let me hear what you got to say.
I'm just sick of the whole femininity on this show about how dudes, no matter what, she got money too. Like, I ain't paying you nothing.
The law is the law.
And he's the man. But no, to Simone's point, that's why you don't live out in California, Brian, because you don't want to be a part of that community property state. I mean, that's California is no joke.
I live in a Republican state
for sure. All right, Angela Jefferson says, how can I sue a company that accused me of being absent too many times, but all of my absences were excused and my absences were due to illness? I can't afford to go to the doctor. Well, okay, so my question here, Miss Jefferson, is how were they excused? Were they excused by a doctor? Who excused your excuse? Does anybody want to take this on? How can I... Go ahead, Shaitan.
I can take it on because my former life, I used to do employment law. So what Ms. Jefferson's question presumes is whether or not she has a cause of action because she's a part of some protected class and that somehow her termination was discriminatory. And what she's asserting as evidence is the fact that she had these absences. I'm going to make an assumption when she says they're excused that they were due to some medical reason, since she says she can't afford to go to the doctor. Here's what might get her trumped up, but she should research it in her home state and also call the local bar association, who can give her a lawyer who will give her free 30 minutes of time. But as it relates to potential theories, right, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, if you have a major limitation of and a substantially limited in a major life activity, right, then you qualify under the Americans with Disabilities Act. You can also be covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act if you are regarded as having a disability, even if you don't have one. So if she was chronically absent and she can show that people thought she had some particular ailment that would substantially limit a major life activity, then she might be covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act. She also might, I don't know if she was pregnant, but there are other types of laws that protect people who are required to be off based on health, but you have to work for an employer of a certain size. You have to work for a certain number of hours. And there's a whole host of things that you have to cover. If it's of a certain size and you don't have the hours, then the hours disqualify you for some laws, but not for all. But I would recommend she goes to her local bar association and talk to somebody.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I love the fact that we are teaching people always go to your local bar association because they will give you a consultation on whatever it is that you're dealing with. And a lot of times, depending on who's working that table or that call at that time, they may take on your case, especially if they think they can win it for you. All right, do we have any more questions? Does anybody, okay, Mixed Feelings says, does anybody here think there would be an accounted to if J-Lo didn't step down and take him back? Wait a minute. Does anyone here think there would be an accounted to if J-Lo didn't step down and take him back?
Oh, the movie is probably saying an accountant. Like Ben has a new movie coming out. Remember, he made The Accountant, which was about an accountant who actually had Asperger's or something. They were on the spectrum. It's coming out. There's a sequel.
Oh, if J-Lo didn't step down and take him back. Oh, okay.
J-Lo put him on, and so that's why he's famous.
Okay, you guys are better than me. All right, next up, Driver's Seat said, how did you get Common on the show, and why is he wearing an afro wig?
Hilarious.
You guys have let my hair grow.
Hilarious.
Did you see that NOLA girl question, Your Honor?
No, what did it say?
It's juicy. I wonder if some Diddy drama is the reason Ben left J-Lo.
Ooh. that is some
She
tea
can't
right
go
there.
back. She can't go
I
back
don't
there.
know.
She
I
needs a
don't know.
criminal
I think
lawyer.
I want. Ooh.
Yeah.
If
No
Ben,
one's talking
if
about
Ben's
that.
company paid for J Lo's documentary, can Ben sue her even though he deliberately made her look bad? That's even worse. Okay, how about FMLA, Shaitan? Miss
How
Diva
about it?
RN, Miss RN Diva said, what about FMLA?
Oh, whether Angela's things are covered under the FMLA. That's why I was saying that's the law that depends on how many hours you work. You have to work 1,250 hours in a year. And so there's certain qualifiers that the question would be whether she was denied leave she was entitled to, but the termination itself is likely going to be rise and fall on different laws.
Okay,
If
so she said the absence were excused in the time punch system we use. And FMLA was never offered, and they also never asked for me to present doctor statements. I worked for the company for over a year.
Yeah, so if she worked for over a year, the best thing, depending on, it's hard to make these assumptions, but like I said, go to local bar association. But another place that you can go to if you worked for someplace that had over 15 employees is go to the EEOC, and they'll tell you whether or not you've
Oh,
been
that's
better.
true. The EEOC, that's true. All right. Hi, Kim said, do you think Krishan Rock will get off, and what would happen to her son? I think her son would go to first of kin, right? So probably her sister or her mother, if she were to go to jail, right?
Yes. Or I don't know the story though. Does that person not have the father's not around?
Krishan Rock's father, the father is in jail, and his son
Oh,
is being taken care of by his parents. So it wouldn't be able to go to the father. It would probably go, because she's very close to her sister and her family. It'd probably go to her sister or someone in her family. All right, everyone. It's
arrested when she showed up at the courthouse that we talked about before.
This was after that. She's also been arrested recently for intent to distribute and sell drugs.
Oh,
I think that's
her
the case.
child may end up having to get bounced to the system for them to decide the safety, depending on what you describe.
Right. All right, everybody. This is the part of the show where we, the jury, we, the judge, and the two attorneys decide who's guilty and not guilty. And you can lean in as well. First up, Chase Bank. Are they guilty or not guilty of creating this glitch in their system so that they can claim fraud so that they can access their insurance? Because, banks get insurance for money that's lost out of their depositories. Attorney Brian Ross, what say you?
Guilty. They did it to try and get on TikTok, and it should go down.
That's right. Attorney Shaitan Turner, what are your thoughts? Guilty or not guilty?
I can't believe he says the social media campaign gone wrong. No, Chase is not guilty. They didn't want this. This is just some Gen Zers, like I said, looking for 15 minutes.
All right. My name is Al, and I'm the judge in this court of public opinion. And I'm going to find Chase guilty. Guilty for trying to give away a whole bunch of money, say they didn't so that they could use their insurance to get it all back, plus fine people, get extra fines, because we know that's how banks make money. They make monies off of fines and fees. In this way, they can double their depository and they can become bigger than they are now. Guilty. Guilty as charged. All right. Donald Trump. Is Donald Trump guilty or not guilty of stealing Isaac Hayes' estate song, Hold On, I'm Coming, without paying? Attorney Shaitan Turner, is he guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
All right. Attorney Ross?
He's a great American hero. He's not guilty.
What? It's Donald Trump. Are you serious? You know what? Throw him out the court. Attorney Ross, what is wrong with him? All
Great
right,
American
Trump,
hero. We should be
judge.
pledging our nationalism to him. We should let him use our music.
No, absolutely not. Attorney,
that.
absolutely not. I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. We find Donald Trump guilty of misappropriating our culture. And how dare you? We don't want to have anything associated with you, at least not on this side of the court system. Next up, is Will Smith guilty or not guilty of stealing Kissinger's story and making it an awful movie that grossed $173 million? Attorney Brian Ross, is he guilty or not guilty?
He's guilty of that and guilty of smacking Chris Rock. He's guilty.
Attorney Shatan Turner.
My old boss had a phrase that said, "We're dumb, not deceitful." Will just got caught up. Like you said, he's the actor. He is not guilty. He got caught up in some bad mess.
All right, I'm going. This is Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge, and I'm going to find Will Smith not guilty, not guilty. I think he's the biggest star. He's the easiest target, and that's who the guy went to the press with in order to try to get a cash payday. Next up, is Destiny Patton guilty or not guilty of paying her husband? Attorney Ross, what say you?
Guilty. Absolutely guilty. Sadly, he's involved in it. But
you want to see women pay. All right, Attorney Shatan Turner. Is she guilty or not guilty?
She's sadly misunderstood. No, I just said that so I could get under Brian's.
Oh Lord!
She's guilty. She's guilty.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge in the court of public opinion. Destiny, you're guilty. Guilty of not paying your debt. Guilty of not giving the court your documents. Destiny, do better. Get that $18,000 because you got kids that you've got to be home to help and protect. All right, next up is Wack 100. Guilty or not guilty for spreading Irv Gotti's personal business all over the net? Attorney Shatan Turner, what says you?
Oh, yeah, he did that stuff. Yeah, he's guilty.
He's guilty. All right, Attorney Brian Ross, is he guilty? Legally, is he guilty?
Legally, he's not guilty. Ethically, he should have kept his mouth closed, but it is what it is at this point.
All right, I'm Al in the court of public opinion, and I'm going to find Wack 100 guilty. Guilty as charged. If you didn't get permission to speak on it, you shouldn't be speaking on it. All right, everyone, this will conclude today's session in the court of public opinion. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, hit that share button. Turn on your notifications and see you back here for Ladies' Night on Friday. Also, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And court is now adjourned.